Actually, I understand that there is some confusion out there about global warming, and maybe if you feel like you're educated enough to explain it, why people might think that global warming doesn't exist. And I understand that there are microclimates around the world, and in some various locations, they might be cooling off for a certain amount of time as opposed to warming up. But I wonder if you could explain that to us.
But you know what? We could go on all night about this, and really, I think, with all due respect, I don't think that's the mandate of council to get into all the causes and what global warming is. And if you want to debate it, fine. We have other business to do, but I mean, it's up to the rest of you.
Should we take a vote on whether we want to hear the answer to that question?
Do we think we're going to hear anything we haven't heard before? I guess it's probably another.
Well, Councillor Theo said it was very confusing, and this might clear that up for him.
So the trouble is, so much of it.
I can try. And cut me off. Okay, so we did indeed start about talking about climate change, global warming, using the word global warming. And indeed, as the 2 degree number suggests, that is what's going to happen to the world, the planet as a whole. It's going to rise by 2 degrees. But some places will rise more, and some places actually get colder. So it's changing. Microclimates is a good way to put it. So about 95% of the scientific literature that deals with climate change suggests that climate change is happening and is caused by mankind. There is obviously the 3%, and there are always people who will say that study wasn't done right, that's not proper. There are other confounding variables, but studies have shown, and NASA came out with a good one, saying basically let's take out volcanoes, let's take out the role of the oceans, let's take out the axis of the Earth, let's take out the elliptical rotation, the slightly elliptical rotation of the Earth around the Sun, and all those variables are taken apart. Mankind is the only cause of the drastic increase in CO2 emissions that we have noticed and recorded in the atmosphere in the past 150 to 200 years. The most authoritative group on climate science is the International Panel on Climate Change, which is a UN organization, and they are now using, they have come out with a series of reports, and looking at those reports over the past few years, you see a change in language, which gets them talking about things saying likely, maybe, could be, to things that are saying there is a strong correlation. It is extremely likely. It is highly, there is a high correlation between one thing and the next, between humans' activities and fossil fuel consumption, or CO2 emissions and climate change. We see that type of language in scientists when they talk about smoking, when they talk about cigarette usage and lung cancer. So that type of correlation, which is a 95% certainty that lung cancer is caused by smoking, is the same type of correlation that the IPCC is using to describe the link between man-made activities and climate change. Hopefully that was short and sweet.
Thanks. Yeah. And thanks for the indulgence, Mr. Mayor. I just feel that the more information we give the people, the better they're off there at making decisions. My second question was to do with the current fossil fuel reserves, and you mentioned that current authorities say that we should leave 80% in the ground. And so I'm wondering how long at current predictions will it take to use up 20%?
About 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
I also had a question about other communities. I guess none have yet done it, so there might not be any costs in place or any.
So just the city of North Vancouver, and they're looking at just under $1,000 to outfit all their gas stations with the pump heads.